Welcome back to Know Your Charity. I'm in discussion with Yasmina Frank from SANZAF. She is the CEO of the organization and just discussing their role in society with regards to zakah funds, how it's distributed, not only in Ramadan but outside of it. And that's where we'll come to the next question, Sister Yasmina. Outside of Ramadan, SANZAF continues its work. What other projects does SANZAF embark on outside this blessed month?
Yes, so shukran so much, Faraz, for that question. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, so the future projects for SANZAF, the immediate future, I think we're starting to feel the change in weather throughout the country. So our next big focus area will be winter warm. And I think, you know, when you start to feel that cold winter months stepping in and the harsh weather that we have been experiencing in and around the country, and we will continue to experience as we get deeper into the winter months, we have to, have a thought for those who doesn't have the home to go to, those who are on the streets, and those who are living in informal settlements, and the elderly and the sick. So our winter warmth campaign will kick in immediately after Ramadan. And there we will make appeals also to do food relief, but also to provide what we call winter packs. And those winter packs will contain not just winter warmth clothing, but also, minimum medical little products just for, to fend off a little cold and those kinds of items. So that will be our winter warmth, and they'll be feeding throughout the winter months. And then following that, before we know it, we will be looking at Qurbani. We're really in a period where time certainly flies. So whilst we're looking at Eid al-Fitr, we're already planning Qurbani for Eid al-Adha. And I think, it is probably not the only country, South Africa, where food security is such a big issue. But we do focus on the food aspect in Qurbani, as well as the dawah aspect of Qurbani. So when we do the Qurbani, we use the meat that has been donated to us for many of our feeding schemes and for community feeding schemes as well. But we also use the opportunity to do, dawah around the importance of Qurbani, what it means, and, the time of Qurbani being Eid al-Adha. To speak about, the sacrifices that's being made, people going on Hajj, and inshallah, we hope to see the borders opening and that a lot more people this year, inshallah, will be able to perform Hajj. And so we have Qurbani during that period of time. And then our women empowerment programs, which also then coincides with Women's Day in August, which has become Women's Month, alhamdulillah. And under our women empowerment programs, we have a lot of specific programs that's run by the different regions. So we have programs for women for sewing, pattern making, baking projects, even computer literacy and mu'allima empowerment programs. And these programs are all geared at providing women the skill to, first of all, either make themselves more employable or even to start their own entrepreneurship projects. So in South Africa, there's a unique dynamic that we have many female-headed homes and lots of single mothers taking care of families and lots of grandmothers taking care of grandchildren. So we do find the women empowerment programs is an important program for us. So that's going to be one of the future focus areas. And then generally, as I mentioned with SEED, we will be focusing on the initiatives that sits within the SEED program. I spoke about early childhood development. And here we support out-of-center homes where we have a house mother who takes care of about 10 or so little ones, so that the mothers in the area can go and job hunt or even work. And so we assist with a stipend and some food. But also within our SEED program, we have vocational training, which is those courses for individuals who may not have completed schooling and still need to be employable. So we do welding courses, mechanic courses, and even upholstery. We have something happening in our PE, Port Elizabeth region. And this will be our focus area post-Ramadan, inshallah.
Amin Tuma, Amin Alhamdulillah. And that really sounds like amazing projects because, the work that SANZAF is doing has to maintain its momentum throughout the entire year. Sister Yasmina, governance. We always speak about the role of governance, how important governance is. And that leads to, of course, whether the organization is credible or not. How important is it that NGOs and MPOs have a right structure of governance in order to make sure not only can people trust them with their zakah money, but also they can be a trust with the entire public, that they can look at organizations like SANZAF and say, this is not just an organization representing the Ummah of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the South African community, but representing the entire country as a whole.
Absolutely, very good question, Fazan. I think when we speak to governance, there is so much contained in that word, but ultimately governance is about, good ethical behavior. And I think it's sad that, we have to talk about ethical behavior. It should be ingrained in us as Muslims. Those are the qualities of a Muslim, that a Muslim should have. But let's talk about that just in the context of your question. As an NGO, SANZAF being a non-profit organization, we are accountable to the public and on how we conduct ourselves, how we manage the organization. And so we need to be open for scrutiny, and we are. And within SANZAF, we have made this a strong pillar in our management approach. And also in terms of our reporting strategy, to the extent that we have strong structures in place with proper delegation of authority, proper decision-making structures, proper election processes when it comes to our board and our office bearers, and how long they may serve. And because that impacts decision-making and that impacts, how the organization is taken forward. And also, we publish our financials every year within 3 months of our financial year end. So I think most companies that's listed on the JSE are required to publish their financials, I think, 4 months after their financial year end. SANZAF prides itself in that we try and do that within 3 months of our financial year, so within 100 days, so that the public can see how we facilitated projects and programs on their behalf, because essentially that's what we're doing. We're utilizing the money of the public, and we try and we do channel it for the purpose for which it was intended. So we deliver on projects and programs that offer long-term sustainable solutions to the extremely high levels of poverty and unemployment in South Africa. And when we talk about long-term, it means that certain projects will run over 2 or 3 years. So we use the funds that we receive in year one for year one of that project, but we have to make an appeal for support for year two, and we can only get support for year two from the public if we're given them sufficient comfort and build enough trust that we have delivered efficiently on year one. So for example, I'm using that in the scenario of a bursary program. So if we take a student on our bursary program, we don't necessarily want to just fund them for 1 year, because I think the financial strain in worrying where am I going to get my funding from for year two and year three comes in the way of their studies. So when we talk about long-term sustainable solutions, we want donors to partner us for a longer term. And the only way we're going to be able to give donors that comfort and that motivation to partner us is if they feel that we are transparent and they can trust our processes. So we have done our reporting in a very transparent and an accountable manner. And just to mention, I'm not sure if you're aware, but SANZAF has won 2 3G awards, and 3G is short for Global Good Governance Awards, and that was conferred to us by Cambridge IFA from the UK. So we received the award last year and the prior year. So for 2 years in a row, we have been recognized for good governance, and I think that's a good message to send out to the public. And it's an independent organization, which is Cambridge IFA, and they are one of the largest facilitation programs in emerging economies promoting, good governance. So their initiative encouraging the adherence to good governance practice, which I think is a very important aspect in all institutions today, whether it's public or private, because essentially governance impacts sustainability. And we all want to be around, inshallah, for many, many more years to come so that we can continue to serve the Ummah, but importantly, so that we can uphold this third pillar of Islam, which is so ingrained in our belief system. And so I think governance is there, first of all, to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as I mentioned, because it is fundamentally about honesty and good values. And then it is about systems and processes. So I think, from our perspective, it is, one of our key focus areas, and we've definitely made it a part of SANZAF's value system and SANZAF's operating standards.
No, Alhamdulillah, I wish we had more time, Sister Yasmina, to so many questions I wanted to ask, but inshallah, maybe at another time. We'd like to say Jazakallah so much for making the time for us, and we wish you and the rest of SANZAF many more years of barakat, inshallah, and continue to do the good work you are doing in serving the community.
Jazakallah, may Allah accept your beautiful dua. And at this point in time, I just wanting to also extend from SANZAF to all the viewers our message of Eid Mubarak to you and your family. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all a beautiful day in which we spare thought for all our brothers and sisters around the world who are currently facing oppression of all kinds. And also locally, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for everyone in our country, inshallah, who are going through challenges. For the sick and those who have passed on, may Allah grant them Jannatul Firdaus, inshallah. And to you too as well, to you and the team in the studio, may you have a blessed Eid, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Shukran and Eid Mubarak to you also. Well, that's all we have here on Know Your Charity from myself, Ras Patel, and the rest of the team. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.